You know what's interesting? We've been told our whole lives that stress is the enemy, that it's this terrible thing that we have to try and avoid at all costs. And I get it. When you're lying awake at 3 a.m. with your mind racing, or maybe you're going to go to work the next day and your chest is feeling tight before a big presentation. I know that stress doesn't really feel like your friend, but I want to tell you what I've learned in all my years of working on myself and teaching, and it honestly changed everything for me. Stress isn't the villain that we've made it out to be. It's actually far more nuanced than that. And once you understand how it really works, you gain this incredible power to work with it instead of constantly fighting against it. But before we go any deeper, I want you to do something for yourself. So there's a happiness quiz in the description. It only takes a couple of minutes, and it really matters because you can't address what you can't see clearly. And we've just updated this happiness quiz to a really fancy one that gives you a personalized PDF of where you're at. So go ahead. Maybe you want to do it right now. Go to that description, take it really quickly, and then come back. Because I promise what I'm about to share is going to make so much more sense once you know where we're actually starting from. Okay, so let's talk about what stress actually is. So most of us think that stress is just what happens when life gets too much. The impossible workload, the difficult relationship, the financial pressure. And it's true, these are stresses. But stress itself, it's actually your body's way of mobilizing resources. So it's not designed for one specific thing. It's not designed for running from danger. It's not designed for meeting deadlines. It's this beautifully generic system that activates when your internal experience doesn't quite match what's happening around you. And here's the beautiful part, because it's based on hardwired biology, actual cells and chemicals and pathways that already exist in your body. So you can learn to work with it. So you don't have to rewire your whole brain. You don't have to spend years in therapy. The tools are already there waiting for you to use them. So what happens when stress hits you? So when something stresses you out, whether it's a thought in your mind or something real that's happening around you, there's this chain of neurons running from your neck down to your belly that literally are lighting up like dominoes falling. It's called your sympathetic chain, and when it activates, it releases a chemical which then triggers adrenaline. Now, adrenaline is really fascinating because it's incredibly specific about what it does. What adrenaline does is it opens up blood vessels in your legs and your heart, so the parts of you that need to move. So your heart rate speeds up, your muscles get ready, and at the same time it tells other systems like digestion and reproduction, not now, we're busy. So that's why when you're stressed, you actually feel it in specific parts of your body. So blood's rushing to your limbs, maybe your face flushes, or you get that jittery feeling that we all know. So your body's literally preparing to do something, to move, to act. And this is crucial to understand. The stress response is fundamentally about activation. So it's your body saying something needs your attention right now. So I want you to give you something practical right now, because understanding is good, but you know me, I love tools, and tools are even better. All right, I want to teach you a technique called the physiological sigh. This is one of the fastest ways I know to calm your nervous system down in real time. All right now, in the moment. So here's why it works. When you inhale, your diaphragm is moving down, and your heart gets bigger in that expanded space, and blood flows more slowly, and your brain gets a signal to speed your heart up. When you exhale, the opposite happens. Your heart gets more compact, your blood flows faster, and your brain tells your heart to slow down. Bet you didn't know that. So if you want to calm down quickly, you need your exhales to be longer than your inhales. But here's the magic part. Do a double inhale. So one big breath in through your nose, and then sneak in a little bit more air, and then do a long, slow exhale. So I want to explain the reason why this works so well. And it's because your lungs, they're not just two big bags. They're made of millions of tiny sacs that have a surface area that I'm told is about the size of a tennis court. Wow. So when you're stressed, those sacs collapse. And what happens is that carbon dioxide builds up, and this makes you feel even more agitated, right? So that double inhale reinflates them. And then that long exhale gets rid of all of that carbon dioxide that's making you feel anxious. I want you to try it right now. Like double inhale and a long exhale. I want you to do it 2 or 3 times. So your heart rate is going to come down in about 20 to 30 seconds. So this is pure physiology. I don't know why that word's so hard. You're literally using your breath to communicate with your nervous system. Now here's what gets really interesting. So we need to stop thinking about stress as just good or bad. And I want you to start thinking about it in terms of time. Short-term stress, medium-term stress, long-term stress. All right? I'm hoping that you're feeling better from those breaths as well. Okay, let's talk about short-term stress. It's actually good for you. And I know that that might sound a little bit counterintuitive, but just stay with me. So when that stress response hits in the short term, we're talking minutes to a couple of hours, it's doing something incredible for your immune system. It sharpens your focus. It brings certain parts of your brain online that help you to think clearly and maybe to evaluate what needs to happen next. So it's not making you see the big picture, but it's making you laser focused on what's right in front of you. And here's something most people don't know. That surge of adrenaline actually helps your body fight off infections. So there are immune cells that are getting released from your spleen and other organs when adrenaline hits. So that short-term stress is literally preparing you to fight. Maybe you're fighting a virus, maybe you're fighting a challenge, maybe you're trying to reach a deadline. So I found this really fascinating study, and these researchers injected people with a bacterial wall that was mimicking some kind of infection. So it was making them feel feverish and nauseous and terrible. But the people who did a specific breathing pattern and were really working with their breath had almost zero symptoms. So the adrenaline from that breathing actually activated their immune response so powerfully they didn't even get sick. Now I need to say this really clearly. I don't want you doing intense breath work near water, all right? It's really, really important. I want you to do breath work where you're following someone who knows what they're doing. If you come and join the Happiness Club, we had a breathwork specialist speak very recently and gave techniques. So you come to moniquerhodes.com, click on courses, and come and join just for $1 for a month and go and watch this breathwork. It's incredible. But here's the thing. You know how you push and push and push through a stressful period. And then the moment you finally relax, maybe you're going on a holiday or something, you immediately get sick. That's because your adrenaline crashed. And this took your immune system with it. So how do you know when short-term stress is becoming too much? It's very simple. When you can't sleep well anymore. That's when you've started to cross into chronic territory. Okay, so that brings us to midterm stress. Midterm stress is about building your capacity. So this is stress that lasts from days to weeks, and it's where you actually train yourself to have a higher stress threshold. So the idea here is to deliberately put yourself in situations where your body's activated. Maybe you're doing high intensity exercise, maybe you're taking a cold shower, maybe you're doing that intensive breathing, and then you practice calming your mind while your body's revved up. All right? So I want to give you a technique that's really powerful. When you're stressed, your pupils dilate and you get tunnel vision. Literally, your visual field narrows. But if you deliberately widen your gaze, not by moving your head, but by softening your focus and taking in your whole peripheral vision, it sends a signal to your brain stem that releases stress. So try this the next time you're running maybe, or cycling hard, or swimming, or whatever it is, right? At the gym, keep your body at full output, but soften your gaze to that panoramic vision. So your mind is going to calm down even though your body is working. And over time, doing this once a week or so, you support yourself in building this capacity to stay calm under pressure. And then I want to talk, of course, about long-term stress. This is the one we need to watch out for. That's the kind that creates heart disease. This is the kind that weakens your immune system. This is the one that literally shrinks parts of your brain. So what actually helps with long-term stress? I mean, the obvious stuff matters. Sleep, exercise, using those real-time tools like the physiological sigh, and absolutely a meditation practice. Come and do the 10-minute mind. It is an absolute no-brainer. This is one of the most important things because then you're learning how to work with your mind, and the mind is the root of all of it. But the research is also really clear on something that might surprise you. Maybe it won't if you've been learning from me for a while. Social connection is one of the most powerful buffers against long-term stress. All right? I'm not talking about scrolling Instagram or texting. I'm talking about real connection with people, with animals, even with things that genuinely delight you. So here's why. When you see someone you recognize and trust, your brain releases serotonin. And serotonin doesn't make you feel good in some kind of vague way. It actually reinforces neural connections. So it supports your immune system and it literally prevents that long-term withering of brain tissue that chronic stress causes. So social connection can be romantic, of course it can, but it can also be friendship or your family or your dog or even a hobby with other people that lights you up. So the key is that sense of delight, of comfort, of trust. So those aren't just nice feelings. They're physiological events happening in your body. And I'm going to be honest with you, real connection takes work. It takes showing up even when you're tired. It takes not needing everything to be perfect, but it's worth it. So finding even one person or one thing that genuinely delights you has huge effects on your stress levels and your health. So this is what I want you to understand. Stress isn't the enemy. It's information. It's your body trying to help you navigate what's happening. Short-term stress, it's actually protective. So it's sharpening you, it's activating your immune system, it's helping you focus. And medium-term stress, this is where you build capacity and resilience. And long-term stress, that's what we need to address with real tools. So breath work, meditation, building your stress threshold gradually, and really investing deeply in genuine connection. So you've got more control over this than you think. Not over what happens to you. We can't control that, but how you respond, how your mind responds, how your body responds. That's where your power is. So I want you to use the physiological sigh when stress hits. I want you to practice widening your gaze when you're activated. I want you to build real connections. And don't forget, those little sacs in your lungs, that diaphragm you can control, that nervous system that responds to your breath, these are all tools you already have. So don't need to fix yourself. You just need to understand how you work. I hope this has been helpful. Don't forget, come and do the happiness quiz. The link is in the description, or come to moniquerhodes.com. You'll find it there. As always, be kind, take care, go gently in the world.